What is an unconditional life? A perfect life? No. A life without pain? Not even close. An unconditional life is when you choose to be your most authentic self. Knowing and aligning with who you truly are. Grabbing a hold of your life and loving it unconditionally. We'll explore how others are living life without conditions. How they've turned their mess into their message. Their pain into their purpose. Their suffering into service. Our guests will be thought leaders, game changers, and divine nobodies. They will share their stories, insights, strategies, and successes. So you can create the life of spirit, service, and success. Welcome to an unconditional life.
Good morning. Once, not too long ago, I was looking for something new to know and to believe in. So I studied the charts and I followed the moon, hoping it would see me through all of my gloom. I was dreaming. Though in order for me to see the light, I had to learn to do things right for my living. So I gave myself a change of mind, and now I see that I was blind and deceiving myself. Now, some people, they don't understand all of this unconditional life, unconditional love stuff. It's all a scam. I felt criticized, ostracized, and extremely sad. But all I know is it's the best feeling I've ever had. The feeling of being bold, brilliant, and unabashedly free, because I decided to love my essence and be fully seen. You mean show the mess, the hurt, the pain, and the tears in a world where men are not to show any fear? Okay, so I'll put on a happy face, positivity, and be known for, he's so nice. Well, let me tell you about hiding and pretending and how I paid the price. My body, my health, my confidence and self-worth, my marriage, my work, my children. It felt like I was cursed. But hold on, don't worry about me. I'm far from a victim because my story is good. Because I woke up from my slumber and questioned things I thought I understood. So what does love got to do with it? As Tina Turner would ask, do you mean forgiving, releasing, surrendering, shit like that? That's a tall order to ask. But I suppose it's not. When I face the truth, the ugly truth, the beautiful truth, the tough truth, the painful truth, the undeniable truth, the truth that sets you free. So I made a contract with myself that I am an honest, accepting, and courageous man, committed to expressing my true self now. But as we often do, wonder how do I expose myself with the risk that they'll say, he's a fraud. But that's not my responsibility, is it? They are not my God. So I opened up to love, true love, real love, the highest love, the widest love, the greatest love, the deepest love, agape love. And that's where I discovered that as I peeled away the things that I thought were my identity were really an illusion of the authentic me. My name, my culture, my religion, family, and belief systems given to me at birth, they actually stood in the way of understanding my own true worth. You see, I am not my thoughts. I am not my culture. I am not my mistakes. I am not what my family did. I am not what others say I am. I am not my circumstances. I am not my big ass title. I am not the balance in my bank account. And thank God I am not my hair. And I am not your expectations. I am the image and the likeness of source, of God. And God is love. Therefore, my true self is love. You see, I am, once again, an honest, accepting, and courageous man committed to expressing my true self now. My true self is love. I am love. I am giving. I am abundant. I am accepted, and I am worthy. Worthy now. Not if, not when. I am worthy of love right this minute as is. And I have two daughters. And they know me and they've seen me evolve. And knowing the great parts of me and the darkest parts of me with love and expect and acceptance they have given me, I can look in their eyes and truly say that I'm fully known and loved by you. You won't let go, no matter what I do. It's not one or the other. It's hard truth and ridiculous grace to be known, fully known, and loved by you. So I made a decision. Joe, take off the mask, face the truth, open up to love, receive love, be led by love, be coached by love, starting with yourself, fully accepting of what is, be bold and be brave, because that, my friends, is how we start a love wave. Welcome to An Unconditional Life. My name is Joe Atalig, and you'll see right away that I am in touch with my emotions. And I didn't think I was going to cry so early on, but here I am. But I welcome you to An Unconditional Life. And I want to, first of all, thank Debbie G of Spirituality Gone Wild. And rather than just say that out loud, I want to bring her on so you can meet her and meet my friend and my partner who has been a bridge to allow me to have a show on her platform. So I want to bring on Debbie G.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, Debbie?
it's going
Or
right
Deb? I call you.
swimmingly. Yeah, you can
That's
call
awesome.
me Deb, you can call Debbie G, you can call me Deb Deb.
All
Hello?
right. Well, I wanted to bring you on to thank you. I appreciate it, and I wanted you to share kind of the evolution of this. As like when you reached out, how there was, you know, just simultaneously at the same time I was going through a really tough time. So share that first, and then how this all came about.
Yeah, sure. So, well, let me even go back a little bit further. So, for everyone that's listening, this is Joe. What an awesome dude. Is he rocking or what? I see the comments here in the audience, and I love you guys. Woo! We love Joe. Well, he came across my wait, you came across my news feed, but you came across my news feed in the group we were in together. I saw you and I saw your post and I'm like, oh my God. So I reached out to you because and then I saw the love way you were doing, and I'm like, oh my God, I just love what you're doing. How can I help you with the love wave? Because I freaking dig it.
Yeah.
Right. And I was in San Diego at the time and we were talking about that. So it was cool. Well, then all this, that, and the other, and you know, happened. Life happens. Stuff happens, and we have to be flexible and we go with the flow. Just like the entire world has at this point. We're all going with the flow. And all of a sudden I get a bird in my ear that tells me I need to reach out. Hey Joe, you ready to do a show?
And I was like, what? I'm like, no.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
and what it was is that I've listened to Joe and I've had many conversations, and I've watched how he presents what he's presenting to the world, and it's just beyond words to describe it. I couldn't imagine not having you here. I couldn't imagine the world not hearing the story of who you are and why you're here, and the message about why that you've stepped into the space that you're in today, because it's powerful. You're the hope for others, and on Spirituality Gone Wild, that's what it's for, to be the hope for others, to show up, and you guys, there is light there if you choose to see it, and it's not at the end of any fucking tunnel. Excuse my mouth. It's literally right there. You have to just choose to see. And what Joe is bringing to the table here with Unconditional Life is that opportunity for you guys to see. So I am so extremely honored and humbled to welcome Joe Atalig to our network, Spirituality Gone Wild. You rock, dude.
Oh man, thank you so much. And
Okay.
yeah, I appreciate it because I know even in my own connection with source. And I told God, okay, I'm ready. And then you show up. So I really appreciate you kind of honoring that tug in your heart to put me in a place where I not really comfortable, but that's where the growth is. And so thank you so much for a bridge to the platform that I want to establish to really teach, demonstrate, and to really foster that love is still the answer with any question in life. So I appreciate that. I just want you to take a little bit of time, just talk a little bit about your platform, Spirituality Gone Wild.
Sure, I'd love to. Spirituality Gone
Mm.
Wild is a place where people come to see other people who are doing great work in this world. It's a place to be seen and heard. It's also just it's a community in conjunction with Love Coach Academy. And we are about providing tools to do this human thing just a little bit easier. It's Spirituality Gone Wild because I there is no specific spirituality thing that I've found. It's been a accumulation of like a ton of different things, And so I want everybody to be able to get as much as their hands on as many tools as possible. And so that's what we do. And it's incredible. We collaborate with hundreds of other networks, and it's just all of us working together as a team to help each other out, because that's what we're doing. It's a great opportunity right now, all of you. Well, this time that we're living in is a great opportunity to step into the thing that you've been wanting to do but haven't done. And Spirituality Gone Wild is all about that. If you want to know what it looks like to step in and do something you've never done and not know what the hell you're doing, look at my page, our
Yeah,
page, Karen Palmer. Dude, I have, it's like when you were saying, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, right? You don't.
it's the
But
beauty of it. Yeah.
we're trusting source, and we're trusting our gut, and we're trusting instinct to have this happen. And now, because of our collaborations, we've had the Saturday Night Live Global Peace Tribe, which is on tonight with Marianne Williamson again and Andrew. Shoot, I forgot his last name. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, that was terrible. Terrible promo. Terrible. This is the other thing about live. You you blooper, and then you talk about the blooper, forget going back and finding the bloopers. So anyway, but in the past we've had last week was Deepak Chopra, the week before that, and this is Scott Thomas and Deborah Jutsi who are putting this together. But it's on the Spirituality Gone Wild and Love Coach Academy and Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe pages and YouTubes. But the brilliant thing about this is that, do you guys see this collaboration, how it works? And how that when
Yeah.
we're just all of this COVID stuff has brought forward, which is a serious thing. Okay. But we still have this opportunity for connection that we've never had before. And that's what SGW is, I guess, in the scheme of things.
Yeah, right. So everybody follow Deb and on her page at Spirituality Gone Wild. You'll find the spectrum of shows that really touch on so many different things, and there's a diversity. And I know I'm bringing a little color to the show, and so to the platform, and that's what I want to foster as well: is unity through diversity, not uniformity. And the shows are just so valuable. So I'm glad you're able to share a little bit about the work that you're doing, which is so important in hooking us up. This week, I was able to see Dr. John DeMartini, was just amazing. Michael Bernard Beckwith was on a couple of weeks ago. It was really, really cool. So once again, thank you for allowing me to join the family.
It's incredible. Actually, it's an honor to have you here. And you actually did a post last night, y'all that are listening. Where can you find this? Because it was unbelievable.
It was, yeah, it was just a really short talk about the trigger word that we hear a lot today about privilege,
Uh-huh.
right? And how it kills empathy. And I'm not just talking white privilege. I'm talking there's all kinds of privilege. There's wealth privilege. There's, my daughter calls it pretty privilege, and it's just pretty simple but pretty profound. So yeah, check it out on my Facebook page, Joe Atalig. So thank you. Well, thank you again, Debbie,
You're
for
very
everything.
welcome.
Yeah, you're going to say one last thing.
The one last thing is just simply for the viewers that are just catching you on SGW, tell them a little bit about who you are. I know the rest of you all know Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to actually talk about that in just a moment. Going to take
Okay.
them through kind of a pathway, and I'm going to cover that absolutely within this. So thank you again for your love and your support, and I will see you soon. Mwah, much love.
Rock on,
All right.
buddy.
All
There's only
right.
love.
Take care. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get started, you guys. So I guess the first question some of you might be asking is, what is an unconditional life? And I started to really delve into that. I searched the word unconditional, some of the meanings. And let me share with you some of the words that really drew me in. So unconditional also is unrestricted, unlimited, limitless, right? Wholehearted and complete. So I know when we hear the word unconditional, many times we follow that with unconditional love, right? So let's take those same words, right? An unrestricted love, unlimited love, wholehearted love, complete love, limitless love. And you apply that to every area of your life and you'll see possibilities. Because ultimately what happens is that there are two forks in the road. One are probabilities and the other are possibilities. And I know when I'm going down the probability road that's somewhat of a safe road. The things that I'm used to, the things that are maybe in my quote unquote wheelhouse. But it is in the possibilities road that I realize that that's where my destiny lies, where I need to lean into discomfort and really explore those things and the unknown. But in order to do that, there's work. And it is really the idea of self-trust, right? And trusting yourself. Well, that's where I want to start, is talking a little bit about my own evolution and the things that happened in my life that led me to where I never thought I'd be here, on a live show talking about love and talking about an unconditional life. I'm originally from San Diego, and that is what I just deem home for me. And I grew up, I was the youngest of 10 children. And I didn't realize until grade school that my birth father had actually adopted my older siblings because their birth father had died in the military. And then it started to make sense to me. I love my family, but there are some dynamics that were all different for me because I did feel different from my other siblings. I had two sisters who were just absolutely endearing. They helped raise me, and I love them. And I had brothers who were great examples for me, but there were also a lot of differences, and I felt different. And so it made a lot of sense why the ways that I was treated, or at least how I felt I was being treated. It was, but living in National City, California, which is a diverse city in San Diego, in South San Diego. And you can call it the hood or what have you, but I did not learn racism or anything that night in that way because it was such a melting pot. And I really appreciate growing up in an environment like that. A little bit about my family. So growing up, I wasn't confident. I was a little chubby dude and a lot of insecurity. And so, when I was in the first grade, I renamed myself. I called my name Joey. My family did not call me Joey, but everybody in school knew me as that. So just take note of that because even as a 6-year-old, I knew something was missing. And in my 6-year-old mind, created a false identity already so that I could be liked, I could be loved, I could be seen. Now, those weren't the words that I used as a 6-year-old, but I just knew that I want to survive here. And I was teased a lot. I wouldn't say necessarily bullied. That happened later. But in order to fit in. So I gave myself my moniker of Joey. In the second grade, I think is where I really started to figure out how I was going to exist in life. And as a 7th grader, once again, not being necessarily fully liked, or I felt I wasn't and not fitting in. I had taken a bag of marbles. So I just got these recently. And it wasn't just this type of a bag. It was a long white tube socks of marbles that I had won. That was the game back in the day. And I during recess, I went out on the playground and I had this big sock full of marbles and I just yelled, "Marbles!" And I started to take handfuls and I just threw them out in the air. And in an instant, I had the attention of the entire playground. And it was like money was falling from the sky. And people were just clamoring. And just as I started to throw it, it was mass mayhem. And I went from not being liked to almost instantaneously popular. And in my 7-year-old mind, I said, this is how to be liked. This is how to be loved, is you give, and you give over the top. And that's what started the idea of this false identity, not necessarily who I am. I'm a giver, but this idea that in order to receive love, I need to buy it. And that's shown up a lot in my life. When I was in the 4th grade, I remember we went out to play a game with the class, and this is where everybody was lined up, and there were 2 teams, and they were going to select teams. So the two team captains started to say, I want this person, I want this person. And inside, I was like, I just don't want to be the last one, or I just don't want to be the last one. Well, I was in the final 2, right? And I looked over to my left, and I was like, there's no way they're going to pick her, okay? And they called the last person, and they picked her. So I was the last one. And little did I know that began somewhat of a wound in my own belief system that said, I will not, or no one will want me. That's what carried throughout my life. So the idea of giving and being super nice so people will like me started to be my method of operation. Now, trust me, I am nice. And I realized that. But I'll tell you, and I'm being real here, that there was times where I put on a mask to make sure that was a safe place to be. And it was tough, very, very tough, because I became super popular, and throughout elementary school, junior high, and high school, I was the class president, ASB president. I was my sophomore class president, senior class president. I was I was in my 9th grade year, I was most popular. And it gave me this sense of acceptance. But what I have learned, of course, as I grow old, is that when you don't deal with wounds and you leave those things there, they will continue to show up in your life. And they did. And so, as I graduated Sweetwater High School, go Red Devils, and attending San Diego State University, I also was working at a bank part-time, actually 2 jobs, the bank and warehouse records. Oh my God. But I started when I was 17. When I was 19, there was an opening for the management training program. I'm like, I don't have a degree yet, but I'm going to go for it. That's how bold I was. And little did I know when I went and interviewed that just being myself, I didn't know any better, that I was accepted into the program. So as a 19-year-old, I was stepping into this place with people who were a lot older than I. And it started my career in financial services. And I'll tell you, it was just, I started to just now start to build my life around status, right? And titles and success. And I was the first 19-year-old within my friend circle. And I bought a BMW at 19, okay? Like, who does that? But someone who desperately wants to be seen and heard and be loved and accepted and admired. And that started the whole bougie life, right? Buying things that I could not afford, right? For people that I didn't even know or didn't even like, right? To be somebody that I really wasn't. And that continued on throughout my entire life. And I was very successful early on in my career. And I left banking for a little while and started doing some things on my own, but then returned to financial services. I was married when I was 30, and my wife, Nancy, and I had 2 amazing daughters, Celine, Faith, Leilani. We had 3 names for her because we thought we were just going to have 1 kid, but put them all in there, right? And then Isabella, Joy, and they're known as Cell Bell or Loud and Louder. But they are definitely my heart, that's for sure. And I talk a lot about them, so get annoyed, okay? And then throughout that, I started to actually return to church, and I became a part of ministry in two churches and a part of church leadership in two of them. And unfortunately, in the second part of that equation, I had a really tough church experience where I had left the church, and there was a lot of legalistic things happening, and I just was not feeling that I could truly be myself. I was always in performance mode, right? I'd show up and they, "How are you, Brother Joe?" And I'm like, "I'm blessed, not stressed," you know. And even though that was hurting inside, because if anything was going on, I'd be like, "You're not serving in ministry." So I said, if I can't be real in here, what is this all about? And so I left. And in a church that was about 1,200 strong, there was maybe two handfuls of people who continued to connect with me and my wife. And the others, no, we were kind of shunned. And it was unfortunate. So much that we packed up and left after 38 years in San Diego to up the coast to Orange County. And we lived in the OC for about 2.5 years. And there it just totally fostered my bougie mentality, right? And had to keep up with the Joneses. And I didn't even know the Joneses. I don't even like the Joneses. But I was looking through the windows of other people's lives, right? Instead of creating my own breathtaking life, because it was the comparison game. And though I felt fulfilled, there were still those things deep down inside that were still attached to my body. And I knew that it was happening inside my body. And that started to form dis-ease in my body. I was diagnosed as being diabetic. And I remember going in and they saying, diabetes is the silent killer. You might not know symptoms, but it's eating away at everything. And I can be a testament to that. And I'll share with a little bit about that as well. But as I was in church, a lot of people used to tell me, "Joe, you need to be a pastor." I was like, "Oh, hell no. I do not want to run my own church. No, I don't want to." But I listened to what other people said versus trusting my own heart. So I started to go to seminary. I was a district manager in Orange County for a financial institution. And at night, I'd go to seminary at class. But still something wasn't sitting well. So I went and saw a pastor and I said, "Help me, because I'm not quite sure what to do." They did this assessment called SHAPE, which talks about your spiritual gifts or your strengths, what you have a heart for, your abilities, what your personality is like, and all your experiences. Those things shape you to do something great. So he started to ask me questions, and on a big whiteboard, put all the responses. And then he said, "What percentage of the time do you do this in your job?" And I said, "Oh, about 95% of the time." He goes, "I think you found your sweet spot," because he felt that God needs more people out there than he did in the church. And so I stopped going to seminary and I continued to do work in the corporate arena, where I began to just be the light and be love and be the things that I knew that Jesus embodied. I wanted to be that to other people. Well, soon after, we were in Orange County. We took a trip to Arizona, where my wife was from. And this is in about 2008, where the economy was just awful. And the real estate market was just, plummeting. And we decided to make a move. We said, we're going to give up this Orange County life and move to Arizona. And I've been here ever since. And it's been quite the journey, an islander in the desert. And I think this has been kind of parched land for me. Oof. Being in the desert, dry and parched, but pretending that you're full and pretending and putting on a good face takes a lot of work. And it takes a lot of energy. And soon enough, I started to see the impacts of not dealing with old situations and putting on that mask in my body. In 2014 is when I started to have issues with my eye and my left eye. And I had 8 eye surgeries that resulted in blindness in my left eye. On the last surgery, my optic nerve was ruptured. And so I had only one working eye. I've lost a lot of my hearing. I wear a hearing aid. And I also lost a lot of function in my legs and feet through neuropathy. But I continued to press forward like nothing was wrong, like I was invincible. And I continued to not look at my shit. And shortly after I went blind, I learned 4 months later that I was in kidney failure and I had to go on dialysis. And at that time, I was in a position in my work where I traveled almost weekly from coast to coast. And so I opted for a modality that allowed me to do dialysis at home. But I was connected to a machine between 8 and 10 hours a day and every single day of the week. And I did that for 1,245 days, 3.5 years of doing dialysis. But during that time, 10 amazing, amazing people, they stepped up to say, I want to help you, Joe, to be a donor. And for whatever reason, they didn't work out. I thought it was me. So my boss said, take some time for yourself. So I took a short leave of absence, which turned into a 6-month time. And 2 days before I was supposed to return to work, I got a call from the Mayo Clinic and they said, you have a donor. And I had a kidney transplant. So I came out of surgery and I just decided I'm in the hospital. Let's just have a heart attack. And that's what happened. And, so a 2 to 3 day stint in the hospital turned into about a month. I finally returned to work in December of 2018. And I found out that my job was eliminated with this company for 27 years. And at the same time, I was ending a 25-year marriage. But once again, don't feel sorry for me. It's not a sad story. I mean, all these things, as I look back on them, I'm like, whew, this is how I turned the mess in my life into my message, and how I take those tough times to serve. It has made me who I am. But I'll tell you, the road has not been tough, because as I start to release the reputation that I wanted to so hard hold on to, what's my reputation? It's what other people think of me. And there are 4 words that absolutely stop me in my tracks of truly fulfilling my destiny. You know what those 4 words are? What will they say? When they learn of my darkness, when they learn about my mistakes, when they learn the things without the mask, will they still love me? Well, little did I know that question really wasn't meant for them. That was meant for me. When I look in the mirror and I reconcile my decisions, my mistakes, the people that I hurt, the lies that I said, well, I love myself. And that's where I decided I'm going to take some time off. I got a severance package and I said, I'm just going to dive in. I've done personal growth work for so many years, but I will tell you, you can listen to YouTube videos, you can read all that you want to, but until you do it, you just know about it. I could talk and coach people to their own successes, but it's been a struggle looking in the mirror and doing it for myself. I'm just being real here, okay? But yeah, then that's where it's taken me, to this place where I wanted to discover truly who I was, and I didn't want to keep up this facade anymore. And so with all those things happening, and I had triple bypass surgery, and I have battle scars to prove it. I mean, right here, you see that, I mean, I can't go shirtless anyway because of my body, but if I wanted to, I have scars all over. One down my chest, I have a scar and a deep incision in the left side of my abdomen from where they placed for dialysis. And on the right side, an incision that you can see so clearly, because that is where my new kidney resides. But they're battle scars, but they're reminders of what happens when you make a decision that you are an overcomer. And that's exactly what I am. And so all of those things brought me to this place where, as I created this false self, I wanted to know, what is my true self? And in that journey, I discovered it with the conversation with my youngest daughter, Bella. I picked her up from school. We went to have a sandwich, and we were in the mall, and we got our sandwiches. We were having a conversation. I don't even recall the subject, but I remember I responded to her and I said, Bella, I don't know about you, but all I know is I want to be my true self. And as kids do, she said, well, what is your true self, Dad? And I said, how do I answer that? So I'm in the car waiting to pull out into the main road. And I'm like, well, you know what? I said, when Dad was born, he was given a name, a culture, a religion, kind of a mindset of how to look at life based upon my parents and my family and my upbringing. And I said, but when I strip all of those away, even before I was born through my mother's womb, right? I know that I am the image and the likeness of Source, of God. And what I know is that God is love. Therefore, I am love. And it was right there in that moment, it was like, ooh, my true self is that. And I, of course, you know me, I started to like, ooh, that was good. And I'm like having this moment. And she's all, I'm dead. People are honking the horn. You need to get out. So I'm like, oh my God. So I'm driving out and I'm thinking, that's it. When I am not my true, authentic self, I suffer. I'm looking out of other lenses. So I wanted to create this work that would foster the question, what would it mean for me to love right now? Even in the midst of debate, even in the midst of someone who gets on my last nerve, even someone I don't disagree with, even especially now, what's happening in the world, what does love look like? And I tell you, it's not just sentimental, anemic love. I'm talking about powerful love, the one that has grit and teeth and looks through the obvious of what's happening on the surface, because it is beyond that. That is the real deal. And so someone who has hurt others and someone who has sinned, I see beyond that because I know it's coming from a place of not their true self. So I kind of see through those eyes of love, looking in the soul and saying, that is a hurt person hurting somebody. What they did, their behavior and their decisions is unacceptable. And they will pay what the consequences are of those. But I want the soul. They deserve forgiveness. They deserve to be known that they're more than their decisions. That's not a popular way to look at love these days, but that's the love that I want to embody. It's about diversity. It is about looking in a circle of people who don't look like each other, don't sound like each other, and potentially don't smell like each other. Okay. But looking in that circle and saying, wow, I appreciate the differences, but I'm celebrating the commonalities. And I can tell you that I've been looking at other religions and other faiths, and the common thing is peace and love. So I'm going to bank on that everybody in this circle, that is our common thread. Let's pull that out. We'll talk about differences and we'll say, I don't necessarily see that and agree with it, but I do agree about love. And that's what I want to foster in my life and in this platform. And as it turns out to be an unconditional life. And so I started a quest called the Love Wave. And this idea of rather than a blue wave and a red wave and all that shit, let's start a love wave, right? And it is each one of us identifying who we are and reconciling the fullness of who we are, our beautiful, and being okay with the contrast in life and having the courage to exist with both your brilliance and your confusion and letting that rest together and knowing that is life, right? I look at my dark sides right now and I just welcome it in, right? Rather than resisting it, I embrace it and say, that is my humanity. I am not this perfect person, and it is not about perfection, but it is about having a heart to be perfected. And that's what I want to foster with this show and with my platform. So at the bottom there, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at An Unconditional Life. You also can find me at Love Wave Live on both platforms. And I want to talk a little bit about this show and what I want to foster. I want to bring what I call thought leaders and people who have made changes in their life and changes in humanity, and also those that I call divine nobodies, who are more focused on the significance in what they do versus the prominence of being in the limelight. But they are striking examples of looking at life and the possibilities when they look through the lens of love. And so in the next few weeks, I have some amazing guests that are coming on, and I'm bringing some diverse voices. Next week, I'll be having someone on who will talk about what's happening in the racial tension today and racism And she's someone who I really trust and adore. And she's talking about it from a Black woman's perspective and her family, and also talking about what it does it mean to be and to rise up to be a powerful ally in really what we're seeing in the world today. The thing mostly that I want to bring her on for, though, is that she understands that it is the inner work in each one of us that's going to make the change, which led me to say that is the other is not the enemy. It is the inner me that needs the most attention. We'll also be talking about the idea of unity through diversity. This thing I call loveism. We hear racism and classism and sexism and all these isms. So let's talk about loveism, because really all the isms they are these paradigms. There are these things that we operate out of, right? There are these belief systems. And I'm saying let loveism trump them all, right? It is the antidote to them all. We'll be talking about heart-centered and mission-driven entrepreneurs who have made it their mission in life, right, to serve others in their own lane. And I'll bring some of them on to talk about their own journey and how it is to be prosperous and wealthy at the same time, woke, connected to Source and God, right, in the area of service and some of the things that they adopted and adapted in their own businesses. For me, my mission is to be a source of harmony, of radical acceptance and unconditional love. And it's going to show up in everything that I do. When you know your mission and you know your vision, everything else falls into place. I'm going to be talking and bringing folks on and talking about healing and talking about different ways to heal those wounds that I carried along with me into my entire life, and finally facing them with courage and with compassion. Also, we'll be talking a lot about relationships, because I have found in the current coach that I'm working with is that there are two things that always show up in the way, or really brings to the surface what we really need attention for is when you're an entrepreneur and in relationships. And I can find that to be absolutely true. What it means to be healthy in all areas of your life. And of course, how to develop, identify, and live your vision and your purpose. And I also want to throw in parenting, conscious parenting, and the relationship that I've had with my two daughters, and how they really have kind of been reparenting me in their own ways. And the relationship that we have of seeing each other. And I asked them at one point, I said, there's times, Celine and Bella, where I don't want you to see me as your father. I just want you to see me as a man who has experienced life in a way that has led him to a place where he has truly embraced himself. I've made mistakes, and I've also done a lot of amazing things. But there's times where I'm just that man and maybe not your father in that moment. So as I see me, struggle sometimes with some of the things that I'm continuing to address, they know that, hey, their dad is a man who's working through his stuff. And so it gives them permission to be transparent and to be open. Sometimes a little bit too much, because I'm like, ooh, they're telling me things like I might be prepared to know. But it's awesome that they're able to open up and have conversations without the risk to say, I'm your dad, you're my daughter, this is how things need to be. I see them, I feel them. My job is not to have them live my unfulfilled dreams and be mini Joes. They need to be full Celines and full Bellas themselves. And I may not have chosen it, but as long as they choose it, I'm here just to guide them down their path and let them choose how they're going to live their life. So today, my intention was to have you get to know me a little bit better, what my heart is, who I am, and that I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to show up to be who others want me to be. I'm just going to be authentically myself. And I encourage you to do the same. I appreciate your support as I start this venture. And also reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. And Deb, I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything. If you type them in, we're able to bring those up. We have a little bit of time here. But yeah, I'm super excited. So thank you, Mary Beth. Wow, some amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, great comments. I appreciate that. The Overcomer. Mickey, thank you so much. Yeah. My brother John. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support today. And so as I, put a close to my first show, man, I just want to impart to you, that you are enough right here in this moment. If I focus on what happened yesterday, I'm going to suffer. If I focus on what's going to happen in the future, I'm going to worry. And all I know is that just in this moment, wait, now this moment, hold on. Now this moment, that's who I am. We're just this moment. And I'm perfect, right as I am. And so the fuck are you. So thank you for joining me on An Unconditional Life. Choose love, look at through the lens of love, and joining me on my journey. Thanks for joining me today. Much love to you. Namaste.